Right now, there's so much doom and gloom about AI that's going to take all of our creative jobs, and we're going to be soon on the street begging the robots for money. But as a freelance creative for over 10 years, I'm actually surprisingly more optimistic than quite a lot of other people that I've heard have an opinion on this. So in this video, I'm going to explain exactly why I think you don't have that much to worry about as long as you do some of the things that I'm going to explain in the video. For starters, I absolutely love AI. I mean, I use it in so many of my different workflows. Things in editing, such as the magic mask, all of that is AI. DaVinci's got the new IntelliTrack AI, which is going to help me massively with speeding up my workflow to track things on screen and to add cool title effects. And there's apps like Gling that get rid of all of my mistakes and ups whenever I'm making these kind of videos. All of this stuff I totally could have done manually, but it would have taken hours and hours extra, and it would have just made my editing life way more tedious and boring. So that's the category of AI that simply speeds up your workflow and makes life easier for you. But then we have the other category of AI that could literally potentially take away your entire creative job. So things like AI music generators, things like Midjourney and Adobe's Firefly that can literally make awesome looking graphic design artwork without the need to hire any talented graphic designers out there. Even in the video space, we've got plugins that literally multicam entire podcasts, and then you can literally just probably do a bit of color grading and then you export it, and you don't even need to hire an editor to do podcast editing anymore. As I alluded to, I think it's the more smaller menial jobs that are unfortunately going to start to dry up. So, you know, gigs on Fiverr that are only a couple, like $50 or something to do simple graphic design work or simple editing jobs. I think a lot of them are going to be a lot more scarce, because as long as you figure out how to use the AI and, you know, you find the right app, you can basically do something pretty close to what a normal human editor could have actually done. I still think we're quite a way off with AI to do like really specific custom made animations and editing that, you know, has appropriate music, appropriate sound effects, appropriate pacing for the particular creator. These things just require more of a human touch for a client to actually be satisfied with them. And even if that client was to use AI to help prompt it, you still need to know the right kind of prompts and how to write it so that the AI actually fully understands what you want from it and can replicate it. And for now, I don't think we're that close to, you know, being able to do the full start to finish creative process, especially when it comes to a really full-on complex YouTube video. And until we get to that point, then I won't really be scared. But maybe in 5 years or even less, we get to that point, then I will start to be a bit more scared about my role as a video editor in this creative industry. But I don't think we're there yet. Maybe famous last words. But I'd argue that even if we do get to this position where my job can disappear because somebody can just use an app to do it all, once you work with clients who actually have the funds to be able to afford a human to do this, I still think people would rather do that. Like, people would rather work with a human because of the, you know, the personalized relationship that they have with that person. The feedback is going to be more custom. You just feel more motivated and better to work with a human rather than quite a cold, impersonal relationship with a chat GPT type AI where you're just typing in prompts and it's given some quite mediocre feedback sometimes. And in a weird way, I've kind of realized this for a very long time, where as a freelance filmmaker, I always knew that there was going to be people who are way more talented than me, way further ahead of me in terms of cinematography and just their portfolio. And I knew that I was never going to be able to catch up with them or even compete with them, which is why I realized the only thing that I can actually compete with them is on my personality, because that is completely unique to me based on my influences and experiences and my upbringing and all these things that can't be replicated by somebody else very easily anyway. And that's also why I wanted to start originally on this YouTube channel, because I was like, okay, if I start putting out videos to the camera talking about my filmmaking experiences and all the expertise that I have in that from my own opinions, then that would instantly make me stand out over the guy who is technically a better filmmaker or an editor, but because they don't have that personal human touch and kind of are not marketing as much or as well as I am, which YouTube is technically a marketing tool for creatives, then like I would end up standing out over clients who would technically rather choose them in a way because they're better, but because this client has built a connection with me over watching YouTube videos, they would actually rather work with me even though I'm not as good. There's just no way that AI can compete with your human personality so that it can connect better with actual humans. Now more than ever as a creative, you can't just hide behind a screen and let the work speak for itself. You have to take people behind the scenes, like how you're developing an idea, how you're building up your creative craft craft, sharing in your journey, and then hopefully reaching the successes that you want and taking an audience through that entire process while sharing what you're going through. All of these things are just so humanizing and relatable to other humans. And you can't just put out awesome work and expect that that is enough to make you stand out when, as we're seeing, AI is starting to really like kick our heels of being able to replicate some of the more insanely difficult creative skills that we once thought were unique to us as creatives. And it turns out that AI can already do a pretty good job at getting close to it. Therefore, if you feel like you're a slightly shy, maybe antisocial person, you've got to really start to put the effort into working on your personal skills. I've said this in a previous video. It's honestly the biggest ROI on your creative investment and the potential opportunities that you can get that you can possibly ever do. There's people who lag their way into crazy opportunities in life just because they're able to speak really well and just be nice and ask for what they want, versus the other person who just thinks that, oh, if I work really hard in my craft, people will notice me. Like, you can't rely on that, especially now. And we're never going to be able to fight out the demand for AI and what it can bring into our lives. Like, there wouldn't be as many people using it if the demand wasn't even there in the first place. This isn't even a new thing. Like, there's been technically industries within AI for so long, especially in art. You know, you got musicians like Hatsune Miku who literally makes sold out stadium tours as a completely AI musician. I would probably go to see one of her concerts. Actually, it looks great. Music's great. But also, in a way, the more AI grows, the more that this demand for human connection is going to start to come up. This often happens a lot in industries where a trend starts, the trend like really kicks off, everybody copies off it, and then on the opposite side of the trend, somebody will be doing something different, and that feels like it's new and unique. And it's not, just because the market has been saturated by this trend that as soon as someone goes back to the basics or like some different style that hasn't been used or done very often on the particular platform or in the particular art form, that makes that person then stand out, because everybody's just been jumping on this bandwagon and it's saturated everything. And it's going to be the same with creative industries. People are going to use AI. It's going to catch on more and more every single year. And then the human touch, the need to, want to work with someone one-on-one and have that more personal approach to art and whatever the client wants as the outcome, that's going to continue to grow. And we saw this a lot with the Rona, right? Like, everybody stayed inside, relying on substitutes for personal connections with, having regular Zoom calls and finding online variations of all the stuff that we used to be doing physically in person. And then as soon as lockdown was over, everybody was like literally like scratching at the door to get out and have human social interaction again. And some people had just gone so down the rabbit hole that they'd gotten so used to like the online world that they have somehow successfully been able to suppress all of these desires as a human for human connection and just person-to-person things. And the online substitute that they've discovered is really numbing that desire that they really need. There's people who have AI girlfriends, and there's no way you're going to tell me that this person having an AI girlfriend is a healthy thing. Like, they're clearly suppressing their natural desire for physical and emotional connection. And, they could technically go to the grave with this with this AI girlfriend, but this person is clearly suppressing it too much in an unhealthy way, and it's going to have negative consequences throughout their whole life, because they found a digital replacement for something, or rather their mental health isn't in a good state. That means that they can survive by having AI lady over here rather than real lady over here. Woo, she's so much harder. We've seen the same thing with industries changing and people finding, the quicker, easier way to consume something. For example, music streaming. People were going out to the shops to physically buy CDs and stuff. Streaming is just like growing and growing and growing every single year. But the actual desire for people to want to pay money to see their favorite artist, to physically see them in concert, the revenue of that is going up every single year more and more and more. It's the same thing. People are consuming like the quick, easy version of the art form just to kind of get the music in their ears, but they feel like they actually want to have the physical experience. They're not just satisfied with streaming on Spotify and listening to an album. They want to be there, belting out from the top of their lungs, seeing the physical, the real human being of the artist's work that they really like. I really like what this guy says in this podcast about AI, which is that AI is not going to replace humans. It's going to replace humans who don't use AI. And I completely agree with this statement. If you just continue to be really stubborn and you say, no, I don't want to use AI. I want to do it the old-fashioned way. I want everything to be manual, all of my art, all of my creativity. No AI whatsoever. You're going to be left behind versus somebody who could easily incorporate AI into their workflow and obviously do some of the more creative stuff that isn't very technical and AI can replace it. That person is going to get way further ahead of you, so much so that you won't even be able to see them in the distance. It's only going to destroy your creative career when you continue to be so stubborn about things that are designed to literally make your life easier, speed up all the boring stuff that you used to do, and then you can actually get to work on the actual fun, creative stuff that you as a human, with all of your influences, with all of the different things you've digested throughout your life, and then being able to actually, you know, create the art that you want based on your skills. We also get quite blind sometimes as creatives that we think, oh no, everybody can use AI and all these prompts and everything. Therefore, of course, it's going to take over all of our jobs. But you got to remember, a lot of people are just lazy, and using AI still requires time, right? Like if you're working with a YouTuber, they still have to put the effort into making these prompts and learning the software of all the AI and learning how to actually incorporate into their workflow. And that still takes time. Like they can't be doing that while also speaking in front of the camera and making their YouTube videos. So even if they can do it, they would rather outsource things like that to a creative or to somebody else, because it's still time, and everybody knows that time is the most valuable resource. And AI gives you back time, yes, but you still need to put in time to learn the AI and actually incorporate it. So then at that point, if they have the money, they just rather outsource it to someone else to do it for them. And if you're creative and you get hired to do some creative work and you end up using Midjourney to make the artwork instead, and you give it to the client, and that client is over the moon by your result, who cares? Like the client doesn't care how you did the thing. They just care that you give them the results and you give them a good experience of working with you. And I think that's where my mindset has changed on AI. I was also quite stubborn originally, but even I use ChatGPT to help me with YouTube titles, because if I can have somebody to help prompt me along with potential ideas for how I can title a certain video, why would I not use this free resource that is pulling from all these different references to give me potential options? Then I, as the creative, as the artist, can take those options and form them into a version that I choose. Like you're using AI, but you are still the artist because you are making the decision. It's the same thing with filmmaking, right? Quentin Tarantino doesn't physically edit his own movies. He has another guy who does it for him. Does that make him less of the artist because he's not the one who's technically doing the editing? No, he's prompting the editor, he's guiding the editor, and it's the same thing with what the human AI connection and relationship is going to be. We're going to be more and more guiding the AI to help us do the stuff that is like more technical. And yes, there is some creativity with AI. I'm not going to deny that. Things like ChatGPT do actually suggest some pretty awesome stuff, but you are the director. You are the person pulling the strings of this AI and deciding what gets seen to your audience and what gets seen to the client and what doesn't. Like you're choosing what to pick up from the cutting room floor, as it were, and combining it into something that is your own vision. So for now, I'm not scared with my job being taken away by AI anytime soon, until there's a point when somebody can take a bunch of raw footage, put it into an editing software, hit make YouTube video like this channel, like this channel, like this channel, enter, and then I sit and wait for 1 minute, and then it goes poof. Until we reach that point, then I'm not scared. And maybe we're way closer than we think to that, and maybe there already exists an app like that. If there does, don't tell anyone, and don't tell anyone in the comments, because we don't want my clients to realize that there is a replacement for me that's a lot cheaper. But until then, I'm going to continue to be a biased optimist for the many reasons that I've talked about in this video. Humans would rather work with humans, and me feeling like I can do a better, creative, more personal job than any AI can do currently. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments below. I'm totally always open to having my mind changed and having doom and gloom set in with my potential creative future. So leave anything in the comments with disagreements or counter opinions to my own very, very biased, mainly because it's my livelihood, my biased opinion. If you're not an AI and you're a human being who wants to do real life video editing, you should definitely check out this video on my channel, where I give you some awesome plugins that I use on every single YouTube video that massively speed up all of my workflow. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you feel like it, if you want to support the channel, and I will see you in the next video.